The evacuation sirens had been screaming for hours before the last ships left the station. Bright lights flashed red across broken halls, and warning messages repeated in many alien languages. The galaxy had already made its choice. The predator species was labeled too dangerous, too violent, too costly to save. Their young were not worth the risk. When the final transport launched, the station became silent. Far inside the dark metal structure, a small shape moved. The child hid behind a fallen power panel, claws tight against a thin chest. Its eyes glowed faintly in the dark, wide with fear. It did not understand words like abandoned or classified threat. It only knew that everyone had run and no one had come back. The child waited. Hours passed. Then more. The station grew colder. Emergency lights flickered and died one by one. Distant explosions echoed as systems failed. The child's instincts screamed to hunt, to flee, to fight, but there was nothing left. No prey. No pack. No parent. Only silence. James Carter arrived long after the galaxy believed the station empty. His small scout ship docked with a dull thud. James moved carefully, rifle held low, helmet lights cutting thin beams through the dark. He had been sent to confirm the station's destruction and recover any lost human tech. It was a simple job. Quiet. Safe. That changed when he heard a sound. It was soft. Not metal breaking. Not air leaking. It was a breath. James froze. Slowly he turned his light toward the sound. Behind broken lights and hanging wires, something shifted. Two glowing eyes stared back at him. James raised his rifle by instinct. Every report he had read rushed through his mind. Predator species. Extreme aggression. Unstable biology. Kill on sight if threatened. The child hissed softly and pulled back, making itself smaller. James noticed the size then. Too small to be a warrior. Too thin. One arm was burned. Its breathing was uneven. It's just a kid, James muttered under his breath. The child did not understand the words, but it heard the tone. The rifle lowered. James slowly removed his helmet. He let the light soften. He crouched, keeping distance, making himself smaller too. He had no idea if this creature could understand him, but fear was a language all living things shared. "It's okay," he said quietly. "I'm not here to hurt you." The child's claws trembled. It expected pain. It expected death. That was what the galaxy had always given its kind. But it did not attack. Minutes passed. James stayed still. He took off his gloves and set his rifle on the floor. Every training rule said not to do this. Every warning screamed in his head. But the child was shaking. James reached into his pack and pulled out a ration bar. He broke it in half and slid it gently across the floor. The child watched it for a long time. Hunger won. The child crept forward, fast and silent, grabbed the food and pulled back again. It ate quickly, eyes never leaving James. James smiled just a little. "You were left behind," he said softly. "I won't do that to you." When James scanned the child, the data confirmed what the galaxy feared. Predator genes. High strength potential. Sharp reflexes. But it also showed something else. Age very young. Status, alone. James made his decision. He wrapped the child in an emergency thermal blanket and carried it back to his ship. The child struggled at first, then stopped when it felt warmth. It clutched the fabric with weak claws and made a low sound, almost like relief. On the flight back, James spoke to the child even though it could not answer. He talked about Earth. About rain and trees and quiet places. He did not know why he did it. Maybe he just wanted the child to hear a voice that was not afraid. When they arrived at the human outpost, alarms did not sound. No weapons locked on. The outpost was small, distant from major space lanes. It existed for study and repair, not war. James stepped out with the child in his arms. Emily was the first to see them. "James," she said slowly, eyes fixed on the creature. "What did you bring back?" James met her gaze. Someone the galaxy threw away. Medical scans were careful. Security stayed alert. But no attack came. The child slept for almost a full day, exhausted beyond fear. Doctors treated burns and hunger. Engineers reinforced doors just in case. But nothing happened. When the child woke, it panicked, lashing out weakly. James was there. He spoke calmly. Emily stayed nearby, keeping her distance but not leaving. Over time the fear eased. James needed a name for reports. For care logs. For something more than subject. He thought for a moment. "Ash," he said. "Because you survived the fire." The child did not understand the meaning, but it recognized the sound. When James said it again, the child looked at him. That became the start. Messages went out to higher authorities. Responses came back cold and clear. The species was classified as lost. The child was a risk. Human resources should not be wasted. James ignored them. He filed new reports. Biological anomaly. Cultural study. Long-term observation. The outpost supported him quietly. No one said it out loud, but they all saw the truth. This was not a monster. This was a child. As days passed, Ash followed James with cautious steps. Learned that hands could give food, not only pain. Learned that voices could be calm. Learned that sleep did not always end in terror. The galaxy moved on. Trade routes reopened. Councils erased the predator species from future plans. Records marked them extinct or irrelevant. But in a quiet human outpost, a child lived. And humanity did not forget. Ash did not grow the way human children did, but growth came all the same. At first, Ash moved like a shadow. Quiet. Careful. Always watching. The outpost halls were clean and bright, but Ash stayed close to walls and corners. Every sound still meant danger. Every sudden movement brought tense muscles and sharp teeth. James noticed everything, but he did not rush. He had learned that time was the first gift Ash needed. Emily became the second. She started with simple things. She sat on the floor each morning with picture cards and soft objects. She spoke slowly and clearly. She pointed and repeated words again and again. Light. Ash looked at the ceiling. Door. Ash touched the wall panel. Food. Ash's ears lifted, eyes bright. Emily smiled every time Ash tried. Some sounds came out rough, broken by sharp breaths. Others came as soft clicks. Emily never corrected with anger. She only repeated the word again, gentle and patient. Ash learned quickly. Not just words but tone. The difference between calm and warning. Between praise and fear. Ash learned that hands reaching out could mean help, not attack. When Emily held out her palm, Ash learned to place small claws into it instead of striking. Michael arrived weeks later, transferred from a defense station. He was tall, broad, and quiet. Ash did not like him at first. The child's instincts screamed danger. Michael moved with controlled strength like a coiled spring. Michael understood immediately. He did not approach Ash. He trained in open areas where Ash could watch from a distance. He lifted heavy crates. He ran drills. He showed power without threat. One day, Michael sat on the floor and rolled a weighted ball across the room. It stopped near Ash. Ash stared at it. Michael waited. Ash nudged it back with a claw. Michael smiled. Training began that way. Slow. Careful. Controlled. Michael taught Ash how to move without striking. How to stop a blow before it landed. How to breathe when anger rose. He taught that strength did not mean domination. Power is a choice, Michael said often. Not a command. Ash did not understand all the words, but the meaning settled deep. There were moments when instincts took over. Sudden noises. Sharp smells. Ash would hiss or bare teeth. Once, Ash cracked a metal railing during a panic. The outpost whispered after that. Some feared what Ash might become. James stood firm. You don't punish a storm for being loud, he said. You teach it where to move. Days turned into months. Ash grew taller. Stronger. Faster. But also calmer. Ash learned to eat at a table. To sleep in a bed. To knock instead of claw. Ash learned laughter by accident one evening when Emily tripped over a stool. The sound came out strange and surprised, but it was laughter all the same. That night Ash smiled. It was small. Unsteady. But real. Family took shape in quiet ways. James was safety. Emily was learning. Michael was control. Ash began to wait for them. To look for them. To feel wrong when they were gone too long. One evening, Ash saw James hurt his hand while repairing a drone. Blood ran down his fingers. The old instinct screamed. Blood meant hunt. Ash froze. Then Ash moved forward and pressed the cloth against James's hand, copying what Emily had done before. The pressure was gentle. Careful. James looked at Ash, eyes wide. Thank you, he said. Ash nodded, chest tight with something new. The outpost logs changed tone. Reports became less tense. Security levels eased. The whispers softened. Ash was no longer the predator child. Ash was just Ash. And in the quiet space between stars, something rare was happening. A child was learning how to be human. Years passed quietly, but the galaxy never truly forgets what it fears. Ash was no longer small. The child had grown tall and strong, moving with smooth control. Muscles carried power, but the eyes carried calm. The claws were still sharp, the senses still keen, but the wild edge had faded. Ash wore simple clothes, walked the halls freely, and spoke in short, clear sentences. The outpost felt like home. Then one signal changed everything. Far across space, an alien patrol ship passed through an old debris field. Its sensors caught something impossible. A biological signature marked long ago as extinct. Predator class. Unmistakable. The alarm spread fast. Data raced through systems. Old files reopened. Fear followed close behind. Councils argued. Military leaders shouted warnings. The predator species was not just alive. One had been raised. David and Jessica stood before the central council chamber, calm but serious. "It's real," David said. "The child survived. Humans raised it." Jessica nodded. "And it's stable. Controlled. Not hostile." The council did not like those words. "Predators do not change," one voice said. "They only wait." Orders were given. Ships launched. At the outpost, warning lights flashed for the first time in years. James felt the change before the alarms sounded. He had learned to trust quiet instincts. Ash stood beside him, head tilted, senses focused. "They found me," Ash said calmly. Emily's face went pale. Michael's jaw tightened. No one asked how Ash knew. Some truths did not need explaining. Long-range scans confirmed it. Multiple alien ships. Armed. Moving fast. "They will try to take you," James said carefully. "Or worse." Ash did not flinch. "I know." The outpost crew gathered in the main hall. Fear moved through them like a cold wind. They were scientists. Engineers. Not soldiers. Ash looked at them. Then looked at James. "I will not run," Ash said. "And I will not hunt." James placed a hand on Ash's shoulder. "You don't have to face them alone." The alien ships arrived in formation, dark shapes against the stars. A harsh transmission cut through the air. "Release the Predator asset. This is not a request." Ash stepped forward before anyone could stop them. "I am Ash," Ash said into the open channel. "I choose where I stand." Silence followed. Then anger. "You are a weapon," the voice replied. "You belong to the past." "I belong here," Ash said. The ships moved closer. Weapons powered up. Michael whispered, "If they fire?" "They won't," Ash said. "Not yet." A shuttle broke from the lead ship and docked. Armed figures marched into the outpost. They moved fast, weapons aimed, eyes sharp with fear. Ash stood still. James stood beside Ash. "So this is it," one officer said. "The mistake humanity made." Ash looked at them calmly. "You left me to die." The officer hesitated. Just for a moment. "You were dangerous," he said. "I was a child," Ash replied. Tension filled the room. One wrong move could break everything. A loud noise echoed as a nervous soldier slipped. His weapon discharged, striking a wall. Sparks flew. People screamed. Ash moved. Fast. But not to attack. Ash placed their body between the soldiers and the civilians, arms spread wide. The motion was precise. Controlled. Protective. "No," Ash said firmly. "Stop." The soldiers froze. They had expected rage. Violence. Instead they saw restraint. James spoke up. "You came expecting a monster. Look at what you found." The officers watched as Ash helped a fallen crew member to their feet. Carefully. Gently. Jessica's voice came through the channel from the council chamber. "This is your proof. You created the threat by abandoning it. Humans created the solution by staying." The silence this time was different. Slowly weapons lowered. Ash met the officer's gaze. "I could have become what you feared," Ash said. "But I was taught better." The alien leader exhaled slowly. "You chose humans." "Yes," Ash said. "They chose me first." The ships powered down. Orders changed. No one cheered. No one celebrated. They only breathed again. The past had returned, but it did not win. Ash stood beside James, calm and ready, not as a weapon but as proof. And the galaxy began to realize its greatest fear was never the predator. It was the mistake of abandoning a child. The standoff did not end the fear. It only changed its shape. The alien ships remained near the outpost, engines quiet but ready. Weapons stayed powered down, yet no one trusted the calm. Inside the station humans moved carefully. Outside alien soldiers waited, tense and unsure. One wrong signal could still turn silence into fire. Ash felt it in the air. The tightness. The old hunger of conflict pressing from both sides. James watched Ash closely. "You don't have to do anything," he said quietly. Ash shook their head. "If I do nothing, they will decide for me." Before James could answer, A sharp alert rang out. A small transport ship carrying civilian workers arrived late, unaware of the situation. It drifted into the space between the fleets, slow and unarmed. Several alien ships reacted at once. Targeting systems locked by reflex. Human defense systems responded. Red lights filled the command room. "Shut it down," John shouted from the control station. His hands moved fast across the panel. "If either side fires." "They won't listen," Ashley said, her voice tight. She watched the screens as power levels climbed. The civilian ship sent a weak signal. "Please, we don't know what's happening." Fear spread fast. Ash stepped forward. "I will go," Ash said. James grabbed Ash's arm. "Out there?" "They are afraid," Ash replied. "So am I. But fear does not have to lead." Before anyone could stop them, Ash moved toward the airlock. Moments later, Ash stood outside the station, visible to both sides. No weapons. No armor. Just open hands and steady breath. The sight shocked everyone. John stared at the screen. "Is Ash insane?" "No," Ashley whispered. "Ash is brave." A warning message blasted across open channels. "Return immediately or be fired upon." Ash did not move. Instead, Ash floated toward the civilian ship first. Slowly. Carefully. Ash placed their body between the ship and the armed fleets. Daniel activated full recording. "Get everything," he said to Lauren. "History will need this." Lauren nodded, hands shaking as she adjusted the feed. Ash spoke calmly into the shared channel. "Stop. There are people here who chose no side." Weapons systems paused. Target locks wavered. One alien commander shouted, "Move away, Predator. You are not worth a war." Ash turned slightly so all could see their face. "I was called worse when I was small," Ash said. "It did not make me one." The civilian ship drifted closer, unsure but desperate. Ash guided it gently with hand signals, careful not to touch too hard. A human officer yelled, "Ash, get back. We can protect you." Ash answered without looking back. "You already taught me how." Tension snapped somewhere deep in the fleet. A young alien soldier panicked and fired a warning shot into empty space. The sound echoed like thunder. Human weapons began to rise. Ash moved instantly. Faster than fear. Ash placed their body directly in the open space between the fleets, arms spread wide again, just as years ago in the outpost hall. "No," Ash said, voice sharp now. "This ends here." Everyone froze. Ash's voice lowered. "I could attack. You know this. You fear this. But I will not." The alien commander hesitated. "Why?" Ash answered simply. "Because I was raised." Silence followed. John swallowed hard. Ashley's eyes filled with tears. Daniel whispered, "A predator refusing the hunt." Lauren nodded, recording every second. Ash continued, voice steady. "I am what happens when a child is not abandoned. When strength is taught control. When fear is answered with care." Slowly, one by one, weapons powered down. The civilian ship reached safety. Ash remained in place until every system showed green. Then Ash returned. Inside the station, no one spoke at first. The weight of what they had seen pressed on every heart. The council broadcast resumed. Faces that once looked angry now looked uncertain. Jessica spoke quietly. "You have your proof." David added, "Upbringing shapes fate. Not blood. Not species." The council members exchanged looks. Old beliefs cracked under new truth. Ash stood beside James again, shoulders relaxed but tired. Emily rushed forward and hugged Ash without thinking. For a brief moment, Ash stiffened, then returned the embrace. The galaxy watched the recordings spread. Not of violence. Not of conquest. Of restraint. Of protection. Of a predator choosing not to hunt. The council did not speak for a long time. But this time when they did, they listened. The change did not come with cheers or flags. It came quietly, carried on data streams and careful words. Across the galaxy, old records were opened again. Files marked extinct, too dangerous, lost cause were reviewed line by line. Images of Ash standing unarmed between fleets played again and again. Not attacking. Not hunting. Protecting. Councils argued for days. Some still feared. Some still hated. But fear no longer spoke the loudest. David and Jessica presented the final report. It was clear. Simple. Honest. It did not hide Ash's strength, nor the danger that strength could bring. But it showed something stronger than fear. Choice. Predator species are not failures by nature, Jessica said. They were failed by abandonment. David added, "What you raise shapes what you face." The vote was close, but it passed. Galactic records were rewritten. The predator species was no longer listed as a threat beyond saving. A new note was added, one never used before. Outcome dependent on upbringing. Humanity received a new title as well. Not conquerors. Not manipulators. Guardians. The outpost returned to its quiet rhythm, but it felt different now. Lighter. Safer. Ships passed nearby without weapons armed. Messages arrived not with threats, but with questions. Requests. Curiosity. Ash noticed it all. Ash had changed too. The sharp edge of survival no longer pressed so hard. Ash slept without dreams of fire. Walked the halls without scanning for exits. Spoke without weighing every word for danger. Still strong. Still aware. But at peace. One evening, James, Emily, and Ash stood together at the viewing window. The stars stretched endlessly, bright and calm. Ships moved like slow fireflies in the distance. They wrote it down, James said quietly. The truth. Emily smiled. I didn't think I'd see that in my lifetime. Ash watched the stars. Does it change who I am? James shook his head. No. It just tells others who you always were. Ash thought about that. Once, Ash had been something left behind in the dark. A problem erased. A mistake ignored. Now Ash was something else. A bridge. Messages came from other systems. From worlds that had hidden their young. From species labeled dangerous long ago. They asked about humans. About care. About rules and patience. Ash read every message. They want help, Ash said one day. James nodded. We'll give it. Carefully. Ash felt something warm in their chest at that. Purpose maybe. Or belonging. Emily placed a hand on Ash's arm. You don't have to carry everything, she said. I know, Ash replied. But I want to carry this. The first exchange program began months later. Small. Controlled. Safe. A single child from another harsh world arrived at a human station. Afraid. Watching. Waiting. Ash met them first. Kneeled. Open hands. Calm voice. I was afraid too, Ash said simply. The child listened. The galaxy watched again, but this time without fear. Not everyone accepted the change. Some worlds refused. Some held on to old hate. But the record was written now, and it could not be erased. Proof had weight. Late one night, Ash stood alone at the window. The stars felt closer than before. Less like threats. More like pats. James joined quietly. You okay? Ash nodded. I was thinking about the station. Where I was found. James swallowed. I'm glad I went there. So am I, Ash said. Emily came last, carrying 3 cups of warm drink. She handed one to Ash without thinking, the same way she always did. Ash smiled. Not small this time. Not unsure. A real smile. I know who I am, Ash said softly. And I know why. James looked at the stars. Tell me. I am what happens, Ash said, when someone stays. Silence followed, comfortable and full. Far away, a council clerk saved the final version of the record. One last line was added, simple and clear. What you raise you create. In a quiet outpost, under endless stars, a child once abandoned stood with a family once unexpected. And the galaxy moved forward, changed forever.